Good evening, everyone. My name is Lisa Galley, and I'm an instructional program leader with the School Programs Department and with the Halton District School Board. I'd like to welcome all of our grades 6 to 12 students and families here tonight for our Specialist High Skills Major, Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program, and Dual Credit Program live stream. We've been doing a series of live streams to help HDSB students and families better understand the wide range of specialized programs that are available to students across the school board. Tonight's programs are specifically for students who are interested in really exploring various career options through some really special opportunities. You're going to hear more about those tonight, specifically entering at grade 11 and 12. So for our younger viewers tonight, this might seem like it's far away, but we know that it comes really fast. And we're so glad that you're looking ahead to the wide range of opportunities available to you as a Halton District School Board student. For our secondary students, this might be something that you are considering very soon. And we're, again, happy to have you here to give you a little bit more information about what each of these programs has to offer. As we always like to do in the Halton District School Board, we'll begin with our land acknowledgement. We begin by acknowledging the land and our responsibility to care for and respect all that provides us with life. This land upon which HDSB is situated is on the ancestral, treaty, and tidal lands of the Anishinaabe Ojibwe Michizageek Nation, now known as the Mississaugas of the Credit. Michizageek territory in the past and present continues to host both Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. The HDSB is committed to continuous knowledge building with respect to actions that address and resolve the ongoing impacts of colonialism. We do this by learning and understanding the true history, treaty obligations, duties and responsibilities, and Indigenous rights, while actively maintaining mutually beneficial relationships and collectively respecting and caring for the land. And the connection I'd like to make this evening is really about two very important organizations that really support pathway exploration for Indigenous students. The first one, known as APSIP, or the Aboriginal Post-Secondary Information Program, is really a collective of recruitment representatives from colleges, universities, and Indigenous learning institutes in Ontario and Quebec. From its beginnings of being a small group of recruiters, APSIP now has over 30 post-secondary institutions collaborating and planning a 12-week post-secondary education tour. And this tour has come to the Halton District School Board. Students can really connect with Indigenous representatives at the fair to learn how they can be supported through their post-secondary journey. And we would really encourage students and families to check this opportunity out. Inspire is an Indigenous national charity that invests in the education of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people for the long-term benefit of these individuals, their families and communities, and Canada as a whole. With the support of their funding partners, they disperse financial awards, deliver programs, and share resources with the goal of increasing graduation rates for Indigenous students. Again, two very important organizations for students in the Halton District School Board and beyond. Bringing us back to our live stream tonight, I wanted to provide a little bit of an overview of where we will start and where we will end by 8 o'clock this evening. We'll start by sharing some live stream essential information and then talk a little bit about student pathway planning in the Halton District School Board. Then we'll have the opportunity to drill down more into the three programs that you're here to hear more about. And that's our Specialist High Skills Major or SHSM programs, Ontario Youth Apprenticeship, OYAP programs, as well as our dual credit programs. We'll talk about some supporting resources as you explore those program options. And then we'll have time for viewer questions. And speaking of questions, this is how you can submit them tonight. So we'll invite you now to take a moment with your phone to scan the QR code, which will take you to a form through which you can submit questions, or alternatively, you can use the bit.ly that's provided, which is bit.ly/pathwaysprograms25. So again, we'll give you a moment to grab that URL or to use your camera on your phone to grab the QR code, and that will take you directly to the question form. We'll also provide that QR code at a few different points throughout the evening if you need it again. Tonight, you will be able to access the live stream recording immediately after the live stream is over at the same link that you used to be here with us tonight. And a recording will be posted to the grade 8 to 9 transition page as well on hdsb.ca. We just wanted to note that when viewing the recording, our viewers can actually select a preferred language using the closed captioning feature. So that will be an option when viewing the recording. In terms of education and career life planning, you may or may not have seen the image here on your screen. It comes from Creating Pathways to Success from the Ministry of Education, and really allows students to ask some really critical questions of themselves as they go through their elementary and high school journey. Through experiences that students have, courses they take, extracurriculars that they pursue, volunteer opportunities that they try in their communities, and other important life events, students really begin to form an understanding of who they are and what they want for their future. And specifically, students answer the 4 questions of education and career life planning, which you see on the screen. Who am I? What are my opportunities? Who do I want to become? And what is my plan for achieving my goals? Every school in the Halton District School Board provides targeted opportunities for students to be able to answer those questions over the course of their senior elementary and high school years and begin to plan for their first post-secondary destination. Post-secondary pathways are often really what we think of when we think about that first post-secondary destination. But the pathways through high school really include the courses, experiences, and opportunities that help a student decide what that first stop on their journey will be. And in the Halton District School Board, this includes 5 key post-secondary pathway options: apprenticeship, college, community, university, and work. There's no one pathway that is better than any other. All post-secondary pathways are equally valued and lead to a variety of exciting and rewarding career options. Tonight, we're going to hear more about 3 specific programs in our board that really do allow students in all pathways to explore a future that fits for them. And we're going to begin by looking at, the Specialist High Skills Major program. And I'm pleased to introduce Tiffany Olmsted to share more about that.
Hi, thanks, Lisa. My name is Tiffany Olmsted. I am a Specialist High Skills Major Board Lead for the Halton District School Board. In the HDSB, we actually have 63 SHSM programs throughout our schools. So that means that there are some schools that have multiple Specialist High Skills Major programs. And I'll explain to you a little bit later in this presentation where you can find that information out. Now, the Specialist High Skills Major program is part of the Ministry of Education Student Success Initiative. So this program is run through all of Ontario schools. The program allows for students to choose a major in grade 11 or 12. So we find that that's very helpful because a lot of students are really interested in a certain area. They might be already thinking about what they're going to pursue in post-secondary or once they leave high school. And so these Specialist High Skills Major programs give students an opportunity to almost test drive that industry or that sector before they even leave high school. The Specialist High Skills Major program is open to students in all pathways. So Lisa just mentioned university, college, apprenticeship, community, and workplace. So there is a pathway for every student in the Specialist High Skills Major program. Again, it helps to prepare our students for the future. And part of that is on the next slide, I'll talk a little bit about some of the certifications that students will go through. So it does help students prepare for their future in the way that they'll do some resume building, but they'll also, again, learn whether that sector or that industry is the right one for them after they leave high school. And finally, the Specialist High Skills Major students helps students find success and joy in their learning and to pursue a pathway that relates to their interests, skills, and abilities. We also know that sometimes students will start a Specialist High Skills Major program and realize that that's not the sector for them. We think that's good learning as well. And so we're happy that the Specialist High Skills Major program can provide these opportunities for students to find what's good for them and what might not necessarily be the right path for them either. So when we talk about the sectors that are offered in the Halton District School Board, you can see that we have a number of them up on the slide here. And so the programs are agriculture, arts and culture, business, construction, energy, engineering, manufacturing and robotics, environment, health and wellness, horticulture and landscaping, hospitality and tourism, information and communications technology, justice, community safety and emergency services, social justice, sports, and transportation. And like I said, not every single school offers every single one of these programs, but there are all of these programs that are offered somewhere in the Halton District School Board. So when it comes down to it, the components of the Specialist High Skills Major program are the following. So there's a bundle of credits. It would be 8 to 10 credits, and that's depending on the sector that the student is going into. So for example, construction has 9 credits that are part of their SHSM bundle, and that's because they do another math in grade 12, because that math is specific to the math that they would need for the construction sector. So those bundles of credits, they aren't extra credits that students are taking. They're credits that the students would be taking anyways if they were interested in that area. So for example, if it's a student that's in a business Specialist High Skills Major program, the credits that they might be taking would be accounting and marketing or business leadership, but there's a good chance that they'd be taking those anyways if they're interested in that area. So we're not asking them to do additional credits. We're just asking them to do the ones that are specific to that sector. So then the next part, which I think is a really important part of this program, is cooperative education. So students will do 2 co-op credits, and that's included in that bundle of credits, that 8 to 10 credits that students need to do. I think that co-op is a really important part, because as much as, you know, you can be in a classroom and you can be learning, let's go back to construction, it could be a very different thing once you get out on the work site. So it's important for students to actually see what it's like to work in that industry. So cooperative education is required for the Specialist High Skills Major program. The other areas that students are involved with for the Specialist High Skills Major are certifications. So they are sector-specific certifications. Again, if I talk about construction, one of those would be fall arrest training. And again, we're talking about, these are certifications that students can then put on their resume. All students will get first aid and CPR training and WMIS training. So again, that's something that they can use to build their resume up. But the additional certifications that students get will be related to the sector that they're in. So there may be some that are software specific, depending on if you're in a communications technology program. There could be ones that are more hands-on if you're working in healthcare. So other than the certifications, there's lots of experiential learning that goes on within these. So that could be workshops, it could be guest speakers, any opportunity to get students into a professional setting where they're going to learn more about that specific sector is what we consider experiential learning. So that's an important part. So field trips, all of those kind of fun things too. The Reach Ahead experiences are college and university based, typically post-secondary connections, so that students understand where they can go to school after high school for these programs. And then there are sector partnered experiences. There is an innovation, creativity, and entrepreneurship sector partner experience, or a math sector partner experience, or coding sector partner experience. And that's when we actually do have a partner from industry who comes in and works with the students on either, you know, the innovation, creativity, and entrepreneurship, math, or coding. And so a lot of times, again, they are specific to that sector that the SHSM is in. What I've also done on this page is I've linked the Ministry of Education SHSM website. And the reason why I did that is because if you're interested in seeing the specific bundle of credits that each one of those sectors requires. If you go onto the Ministry of Education's website, it'll very clearly explain to you what courses students need to take in grade 11 and 12 in order to earn their SHSM diploma. So this is our website, haltonpathways.ca. You can go to this website. You could either scan the QR code or go to haltonpathways.ca on your computer, and that will actually show you where all of our specialist high skills major programs are located. So there's a couple of different tabs towards the top of this slide that say, I'm interested in. And so you could click on that one to see all the different sectors, or you could say, I'm looking for programs offered at. That will show you specifically what programs are offered at what schools in our board. And finally, it is important to know that there is specialist high skills major recognition for completing this program. First of all, you actually do graduate with a slightly different diploma than students that are in the regular stream would have. So rather than just having your Ontario secondary school diploma, this SHSM diploma would actually have a red seal on it to designate that you graduated from a specialist high skills major program. You would also get another page of transcripts that states your SHSM designation and the sector. The third page that you would get when you graduate indicates all the certifications and the courses that you took that are specific to the sector as well. So you do have a paper copy or a paper file of everything that you've done in order to get this specialist high skills major diploma. And then the last thing that I put on there is there are post-secondary schools that do offer awards and scholarships based on your specialist high skills major program. So when you graduate, you can then contact the school and mention that you've graduated with this specialist high skills major and potentially either get a credit. There are some schools that offer credits, as well as some sort of bursary for being a specialist high skills major graduate.
Okay, well, that looks like it's over to me now, and I will be talking about the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program. My name is Samantha Brace, and I am your OYAP recruiter for Halton District School Board. Okay, so this is going to be a lot of information, and I do welcome questions after. I will work through as much as I think you're going to ask as we go through the presentation. But it's a complicated process because it is a pathway within the pathways that we talk about. But the pathway in apprenticeship can be complex because everything is a little bit unique. But why are we talking about apprenticeships? Why are you hearing about it so much in the news? What is going on with skilled trades in Ontario and in Canada in general? This is a quick little snapshot of some of the stats, some of the recent stats that are out there. So you can see that there is a huge shortage of skilled trades in Ontario, in Canada. And part of the reason for that shortage is because there are so many people that are in that industry that are reaching a retirement age. And so not only are we building, not only are things happening in Canada where we need the skilled trades, we also have this big retirement boom that's coming in right behind it. So some of the stats there will kind of give you an idea of why we do promote it so much within schools. And frankly, there's just a lot of students that when you're talking about job satisfaction, they just love working in the skilled trades industry. There is a website there. That's the official OYAP website for Ontario. That's not board specific. If you do go to that website, you'll see that there are lots of information, lots of resources to help you and your families really understand what OYAP is all about. Okay, so busy slide, lots of information. You can look this up on the internet. There's lots of examples of this online through a variety of different sources. But basically, this is all of the apprenticeships that are available in Ontario, and they change a little bit over time, but most of them are static. There are over 100, or sorry, 140. There's 144. And the skilled trades, I mean, they range, right? You see here, we've got the 4 different sectors. And even within the sectors, some of the apprenticeships, you would not really consider that would be a skilled trade. So For example, we've got everything from a chef to somebody who's working in horticulture to some of the things that are more traditional when we think about skilled trades, such as electrician, carpenter. Like, the range is broad. And just to try to help you understand what this chart is really trying to show you, there are lots of skilled trades, but it doesn't mean that you have to go through apprenticeship. There is the option for all of these skilled trades to go through apprenticeship. And there are packages, there's logbooks that have been put together with skills that need to be developed over that pathway for all of these skilled trades. However, there's a couple of big differences here. If you have a skilled trade, if you see that it has a green triangle, that means the student or the employee has to go through a skilled trade in order to work in that environment. So you can see that your electricians, your some of your industrial partners, they need to go through skilled trades. They need to go through an apprenticeship in order to work in that industry. However, there's a lot of them that don't have a symbol in front of them, and those are what we call non-compulsory trades. And so apprenticeship is an option for sure, and it's a great option for a lot of those trades, but you do not have to go through apprenticeship in order to work in that sector. And then we have another symbol there that's a red. I don't know if you can see it. It might be a little bit small, but it's a red maple leaf, and that's a skilled trade sector. So that basically means, or a skilled trade job, that means that if you get that job through an apprenticeship, then you can work anywhere across Canada. That trade, even though these trades are applicable within Ontario, that's a red seal. It means that you can work in that trade across the country, anywhere across the country. It's also recognized in other countries such as the US, Australia. Depending on the trade, there's other countries that recognize them as well. You still need to get your work permits to work in those countries, but it is recognized. You wouldn't have to go through the training program again. So if you have a student that's interested in any of these, or you are a student that's interested in any of these sectors, maybe you want to consider OYAP, and I'll continue to explain that to you. So this is the overall pathway. When people look at apprenticeships, and again, it's different for each of the apprenticeships, but overall, this is what the structure looks like. So you work on the job for a certain amount of hours, you go to school, and school could be a college, could be a union, could be a private company, but you're going through, could even be a high school. We offer some of those. But you're going through and you're doing your training at each part of your journey. And that journey repeats. So you work for a bit, you do some training. You work for a bit, you do some training. And depending on the apprenticeship that you choose, this one shows that there's 3 portions to that training. Some are 4, some are 2, some are 1. So you really need to look at, there's a website I'm going to talk about a little bit later, but you need to look at the apprenticeship website, look at the specific industry you're interested in, and then you will be able to see the clear pathway. But this is a really good idea of what the overall structure of an apprenticeship looks like. Now, we want to talk about high school, because high school offers this thing called OYAP, which is the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program. And the intent of it really is to be able to help students to test drive that apprenticeship, that pathway before they fully commit. And that's what we're all about in high school. We want to offer lots of opportunities to students. So they're trying out different courses, they're trying out different pathways, so they can, not always, but they might have a good idea of where they want to start when they finish high school. The OYAP is even enhanced in that you can start your apprenticeship in high school. It doesn't always happen, and I will explain this sort of the difference, but it can. Like, you can physically start your apprenticeship while you're working in high school, so you're getting high school credits while you're working towards your apprenticeship at the same time. And we've had lots of students that have done that and are doing that right now. So the idea is co-op. So OYAP and co-op, they're a partner. And if a student is in co-op, that means they have the ability to do an OYAP if that's what they would like to do. So what is the difference? So in co-op, really there's a few more options, but basically we have 2. You can go for a 2-credit co-op, which is half a day, or you can go for a 4-credit, which is a full day. Once you make that decision of what you're going to choose, then within the co-op, the student can choose where they want to do their placement. And the co-op teacher will work with them and they'll go through a few different activities to help them understand what would work best with them. If the student is in a skilled trade placement, and that was that table that we just went through. So any of those skilled trades, doesn't matter what one it is, which one it is, they are considered at that point an OYAP student because they're in a skilled trade within their co-op experience. So that's what an OYAP means, that they're taking co-op and they're working in a skilled trade. If a student is serious about getting into an apprenticeship, if that really truly is their pathway, then a 4 credit may be a better option for them, because if you think about the type of jobs that you'll be doing in skilled trades, it can be a little bit challenging to do a 2 credit to find a placement that will be able to really to take the student for such a short period of time versus being out there all day and really getting immersed in that environment. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about RTAs. And I didn't talk about it on the previous slide because I wanted to really get into it on this in this slide. So an RTA, it stands for a registered trade agreement. And once somebody is signed on to an apprenticeship with a company, that company or sponsor will sign a registered trade agreement with the person. And that's outside of high school, but that can be in high school as well. If they're in that OYAP, if they're in any of the skilled trades, then they can get an RTA signed by, or a registered trade agreement. They can have it signed with their sponsor while they're in co-op, which means they will get registered with Skilled Trades Ontario. They can start looking at their logbook to figure out what skills they need to develop that they will need to get signed off by their employer. Depending on the trade, they will be able to possibly count their hours. So there, I mean, that's a much bigger conversation because not all skilled trades require hours specifically, but the hours become important. So the student can take those hours and apply them to a skilled trade later. Because they're part of the OYAP program, that registered trade agreement is valid during the OYAP experience. And then it's up to the employer and it's up to the student if they want to continue that on past high school. But what a great place to start in high school, where you've got all of your supports, your guidance counselors, your co-op teachers, your tech ed teachers, the OYAP recruiter, that's me, all these people that are helping you get started while you're still in high school. So it's a great opportunity. There is something that is brand new. This just started in September 2025, this September, and that's an OYAP FAST program. And we're still getting our heads around it. I mean, it's not that complicated, but it does mean that families need to plan. So if you know that your student is definitely on the apprenticeship pathway, that is what they want for sure, there is a new program that's available that will allow them to really start applying that in high school. And that's the FAST program. And so the idea is that the student would take 8 to 11 co-op credits throughout their high school time. The thing is, they will need to have a registered trade agreement signed by the 8th credit. But truly, if they're working in a skilled trade and they're working that many or through that many co-op courses or that many co-op hours with an employer, the chances of them getting an RTA are pretty good. But they do have to be working in a skilled trade for those co-op courses. So just like Tiffany talked about with the SHSM has the red seal. If they go through the OYAP FAST, they will get a blue seal on their diploma. So regular diploma, they're completing their high school diploma while starting their apprenticeship, basically. They would have a blue seal to indicate that they went through the OYAP FAST. And if they also did a SHSM program, they would have an additional seal on their diploma, which would be their red seal. So this is an example. I mean, we really want to pre-plan this as families. We want to pre-plan this. This is a timetable for a student that wants to keep their pathways wide open. So this would be somebody who's looking at going into university or going into college. How would they be able to manage that many co-op credits within their school years? Because it does need to be done during grade 11 and 12, or they could come back for what was, we'll call it 12 plus. Like they could come back for another year and they could do some of the co-op credits then. But if you look at this timetable, I'm not going to go through all the details, but you can see that you have to start planning this out definitely in grade 11, but ideally in grade 10. So so some people call it fast tracking, where you would sort of reach ahead. So some of your courses that you need in grade 11, you would be taking in grade 10. Some of the courses you need in grade 12, you would take in grade 11. This particular schedule right here, the timetable for the 4 years, that would have full pathways. The student has 4 12U or M credits by the time they graduate. So they can apply to university, they can apply to college, they can continue on in their apprenticeship. There's lots of other timetables, and this is something, if this is something that the family really wants to consider, then the student should really meet with their guidance counselor and work through this with them together. All right, so the where. So this is a question we get asked all the time about the different programs. Like, where can I get this program? Which school do I have to go to? Well, the best answer for this is you can go anywhere. OYAP is available at every single school in Halton because co-op is available in every single school. So if your student is in co-op, OYAP is available to them. 2 credit, 4 credit, OYAP fast, doesn't matter. OYAP is available. So before I finish with that statement, I just want to say we do have some specialized programs though within OYAP. These are called concentrated OYAPs. We have electrical, we have a couple of hairstyling, auto body, a couple of auto tech, and we have a small engines. And these are programs that are specific to schools. We have some at Robinson, Nelson, White Oaks, Georgetown. Programs come and go over time, so you'll see this list expand, I'm sure, over the next few years. But this is what we currently have, and they are all different. But they are really focused programs where students are not only getting the co-op experience, but they're getting very focused, almost like the SHSM, where it has a bundle of credits. These programs have a predetermined bundle of credits that they would do where they're really focusing on the training within high school. And a lot of these concentrated OYAP courses, which is really cool, also offer the level 1 within the high school. For no extra cost to the parents. So the average age for an apprentice in Ontario right now is 29. So that means a lot of people are not going into that route straight out of high school. They might be trying different things, might not work out, and then they come back and they say, well, maybe I'll try an apprenticeship. So always know you've got lots of pathways, and be aware of your pathways. High school is a great place to learn about those. And finally, your next step. So this is it. If you wanted to get into OYAP, recommended that if you know what sort of OYAP or co-op that you want to get into, great idea to take a tech ed course that is related. So for example, if you wanted to get into auto mechanics, then you may want to take a transportation course. So you're learning a little bit of the basics. And when you are trying to reach out for a co-op placement, you already have some skills that you can present to the employer. Next step, you definitely want to have a conversation with guidance and co-op to decide and figure out what your options are within the school and within the board itself. And then what you really need to do is you need to take co-op, and you need to talk to your co-op instructor about a possible RTA if that is something that you want to pursue in the future. And as far as transportation is concerned, because the co-ops are available in the schools, so it's a normal thing that would be available in a co-op. The student would be providing their own transportation to their job sites. But anything to do with specialized training, with those concentrated programs, if you are in that school already, obviously there's no extra cost for the transportation. If you are applying in from another school, then you would have to supply the transportation to get you into that school. And I should have mentioned, if you are interested in those concentrated programs, it's an application process. It's through My Blueprint. The teacher at that school will reach out to you, ask you to fill out an application, go through an interview, and that's a process like all of our other specialized programs.
Thank you so much, Samantha. I guess I'm next. I will preface by saying that all of the programs that you're going to hear about, SHSM and OYAP and dual credit, it is possible to do all three of those programs combined, or you can just do two. You could do SHSM and OYAP. You can do SHSM and dual credit. You can just do dual credit. You can just do SHSM. So, you know, if you choose one, it does not mean that you are excluded from any of the other ones. So I'm going to start off by introducing myself. My name is Elisa Gibson, and I'm the program lead for dual credit. Dual credit programs let high school students take real college courses while still in high school. If you qualify, you can earn a college credit and a high school credit at the same time. These college credits can also count towards your future college program in Ontario. Halton District School Board is pleased to partner with Humber, Mohawk, and Sheridan College. To be eligible for the dual credit programs, you need to be a senior student, so you need to be in grade 11 or 12, and you should have at least 22 high school credits. You also need to meet at least one of a few criteria for the program. So for example, you need to have one or more credit needed to graduate. So if you've already graduated and you've had your 30 credits, you cannot come back and do dual credit. So as long as you have one more credit to graduate, you're eligible for dual credit. You're not sure what you want to do after high school. So if you're still trying to figure out whether or not you go work or apprenticeship, university, college, then dual credit might help clarify that for you. Perhaps you're looking to get back on track with school. You're trying to figure out the career path you want. You want to work in the trades, or you want to work with children or animals, or you're thinking about college versus apprenticeship or apprenticeship after high school. So all you need is to be in 11 or 12 or meet one of those criteria, and you will be eligible for dual credit. So what's cool about dual credit? With dual credit, you get a chance to experience college life before you fully commit. You can earn up to 4 college credits in your high school career, and they can count towards your high school diploma. These credits can be used at any Ontario college in the future. You'll get to meet students from other schools. And while your classes are with high school students, the college campus will have college students there, giving you a true college experience. And then the next slide, another great part of dual credit, there's no cost to you. So you can explore college without the financial pressure. The program is 100% free, so your tuition, your transportation, any materials like PPE are all covered by the Ministry of Education. There are tons of cool course options that are available to you, from business to a variety of trades, plumbing, CNC, electrical. There's robotics, animals, science. There's a whole bunch of courses. I'll talk a little bit more about that in the next couple of slides. Many of the courses that are offered are Gen Ed courses, meaning that they're transferable to most Ontario colleges, but also programs that students participate in. So how does it work? When you take a dual credit, what does that look like on your regular school schedule? With dual credit, if you are accepted and you're taking one dual credit at one of our local colleges, Humber, or let's say Sheridan or Mohawk, you will leave your regular high school 1 day a week to take that college course. The course is part of your regular school schedule, so it's important to talk to your guidance counselor to choose the best semester to take it. So we tend to like to partner dual credit with co-op. So if there's flexibility in your schedule, you know that you're going to your co-op placement 1 day a week, that would be supplemented with your college credit. So if you're doing maybe you're doing a business, or you want to go into law, maybe 4 days a week you're at a law firm, and 1 day of a week you might be at Sheridan College taking criminology or forensic crime scene. You're responsible, if you can go back, sorry, Lisa. You're still responsible for any work that you're going to miss at your high school to that day. And then just to speak a little bit about transportation to the college, transportation is provided via Presto. So you would be given a Presto card if you are close enough to the college. So if you live in Burlington and your college course is in Oakville, a Presto card is given to you. Or it might be taxi. If you decide that you want to do plumbing or welding and it's in Brampton and you live in Burlington, then a taxi will be provided from a central location to bring you and perhaps some other students to and from the college. The dual credit program is to re-engage students, to provide a reach ahead opportunity, and to help you see post-secondary as a tangible option. Courses are offered 4 times a year. So you have courses that are running like this semester, which we call fall, second semester, which we call winter. There's a spring session that's concentrated, meaning it's 7 weeks from May to June. And there's even summer dual credit as well. But spaces are limited with sometimes only 3 to 5 spots per course. So make sure you apply early. And the application process is fairly simple. Start off by expressing your interest through My Blueprint. Once you do that, you will receive an email with a link of all the courses that you can take a look at that you could apply for. If you've figured out, hey, I'm really wanting to do plumbing, or perhaps you decide CSI seems interesting, then the next step is to connect with your guidance counselor to talk a little bit about scheduling your dual credit and what semester you want to apply for that dual credit. Complete the application with your guidance counselor, and then watch for email communication and acceptance, as well as next steps. The applications are accessible to you, family, guidance counselors on HDSB. You just kind of Google dual credit. In the next slide, it might be a little hard to see, but you can see a variety of the course offerings. So usually there are course offerings. You can see the blue is for Humber College, green is Sheridan. It tells you the campus, as well as if you go further on along the columns, the number of seats that are available. And then on the far right, the time and the day and time that the course is offered. So it could be every Tuesday from 1 to 4. It might be Wednesdays from 9 to 3, really kind of depending on the course will determine when the day of the week that it's offered. The second program that I want to speak to you about is called School Within a College. This next program is for senior students in grade 12 or perhaps 12 plus, still behind in credits and time trying to catch up. The key to note for this program, similar to dual credit, is that you cannot already earn your OSSD, you can't graduate and then come back and take the program. So what is School Within a College? School Within a College is an innovative regional program for grade 12 or 12 plus students, as I've said, who are close to graduating. So they might need about 4 to 5 high school credits left to graduate. So if you can go to the next slide, that'd be great. Thank you. School Within a College, also known as SWAC, takes place at Sheridan College, Trafalgar campus in Oakville, every semester. So every semester, there's a new cohort of students that can participate in this program. Students are given a chance to experience college life while finishing high school. So you are 100% at the college on campus every day for a semester. You'll take 2 dual credit courses, which I've spoken to you guys about earlier, taught by your college professors, as well as 2 to 3 high school courses, which are taught by a high school teacher at the college campus. Students are there for the full semester. So I want to just repeat that again. So we're looking for students who are a little bit more mature and ready for that next step. SWAC uses an adult learning model, meaning that there is a level or expectation for more independence and responsibility, just like you would have in college. We know that not everyone is there, so we put supports in place to help students with this transition so that they can be successful. So at SWAC, we believe that every student can be successful and succeed. As a matter of fact, we have a very high success rate for students who will say often that they find the courses in both dual credit and SWAC easier than their high school experience. While you're participating at SWAC, you'll be learning on the college campus, but we really look beyond just the academics. So it's beyond just the classroom. We try and focus on that right balance between achievement and well-being, because we know that when students feel supported, that they're most likely to thrive. We understand that starting somewhere new can be overwhelming, whether it's dual credit or SWAC, but just rest assured that you're not going to be alone. Because it's a small cohort, there's your SWAC teacher, there's a college instructor, and we also sometimes tap in with a dual credit monitor to support as well. When you are registered with SWAC, you automatically become a Sheridan College student with your very own Sheridan ID and access to many of the services that like regular college students have. So some great things to expect if you decide and are accepted into the SWAC program. You'll get to use Sheridan's amazing facilities, just like the college student. At SWAC, we offer a breakfast program so you can start your day focused and ready to learn. Class sizes are small, no more than 20 students in that class, which means more one-on-one support from your teacher and a stronger sense of community. In addition to all of those already mentioned, you'll see in the next slide that outside of the classroom, you'll have the opportunity to access additional resources. So on the next slide, thank you, Lisa, accessible learning. So if you have an IEP, then you can work with accessible learning at Sheridan to look into accommodations into your college courses. If you are First Nation, Métis, and Inuit, we have the Indigenous Center that you can access. There are social services and wellness supports if you're looking for counseling, gym facilities, and then of course you have like Tim Hortons and Booster Juice and cafeteria, all things that are accessible to college students. So how do you register for school within a college? For more information, every year we have an annual open house. This year it's going to be on December 9th, so all are welcome to just check out the facilities, ask questions, get to meet the faculty. And if you decide that, hey, this is something that I'm really interested in, then you go back and you connect with your guidance counselor as well. Your guidance counselor will work with you to make sure that your schedule is aligned so that you can participate in school within a college. Your guidance counselor will work with you at completing the application, but you can also complete the application on your own as well. The application is also accessible on Halton District School Board's website. And then once you complete the application, you just wait and watch for email response about your acceptance and next steps. Spaces are limited, so early applications are recommended. Applications open, so for this year, we opened applications May 2025, and then we still have it opened up for semester 2. Semester 1 is wrapping up. And then, of course, if you have any questions, you're unsure, something perhaps I may have missed, please ask your guidance counselor, or you can reach out to me directly. Lastly, before I pass it on back to Lisa, transportation, in case I missed it, to the campus, Sheridan Oakville, because we're talking about a mature adult learning model, students are expected to find transportation there on their own, but we will provide Presto cards for those, so everybody's accessible and we have no barriers. So it might be a GO train, a GO bus. If you live outside of the region, so if you are in Acton or Georgetown, then taxi would be a possible option there as well. So if you have any questions, again, please feel free to connect with your guidance counselor or reach out to me directly. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much to Tiffany, Samantha, and Alicia for providing such clear and detailed overviews of these three very exciting programs in our board. I just wanted to point out some key resources for families that are looking to dig a little bit deeper. Certainly haltonpathways.ca, you've heard that mentioned a few times. All three programs can be found on that website. So you can find out a little bit more about where programs are located, what sectors are offered, and again, sort of expand on some of the information that's been shared tonight. I also wanted to let you know that on our new refreshed HDSB.ca, you can do a search for any of the items that you see there, and they will provide more information, whether it's specialized programs within our guide to secondary, which supports our students who are making the transition from grade 8 to 9. And then under each of the three names of the programs, you'll find full pages providing more information about each of them. So those are great places to check out. So we're now at the time for questions, and I want to thank everybody who's been submitting questions throughout the evening. Now I'll have an opportunity to ask each of our presenters a little bit more to reflect the things that you're wondering about. And Tiffany, I'm going to start with you. We have a number of questions about SHSM. And one of them, and I know we have so many specialized programs in the board, sometimes it's hard to think of all the combinations that are possible. But we have a number of questions asking about taking SHSM alongside another specialized program. So I know Alicia has addressed that you can do SHSM and OYAP, SHSM and dual credit, and so on. We have some questions about iSTEM, AP, IB. Are you able to share a little bit more about what intersections are possible there?
Sure. I know that there are students that are at Aldershot doing the iSTEM program, and they are also involved in the Arts and Culture SHSM program at Aldershot. So doing those two programs seems to be not a problem. From what I understand, IB and SHSM, you can do both of those programs. But I do understand that students that are taking AP programs, it often gets a little bit too heavy for them to do both the specialist high skills major and advanced placement at the same time. Do you want to add?
Yeah, and I think
Sorry.
Yeah, thanks, Tiffany. And I was going to say, I think, any student that's interested in doing multiple programs, a great place to start would be to connect with your guidance counselor. They're going to have a great sense of what's available in the school and how different programs come together. But it's great to be thinking about all the things that you want to do and finding ways to do as many as possible while still, of course, doing your very best. So yes, lots of programs to consider, that's for sure. We also have a question about, for you, Samantha, around OYAP. So there's a student inquiring about whether or not we specifically have HVAC programs in the board. And if not, is there anything comparable that students might think about to still get that experience?
Yeah, that's a great question. I wish you were asking it in another year, because I know there's a school that's looking at starting up HVAC. So I would say if you take a construction program, it's probably your best. It's your best start right now to be able to get into the HVAC program. Definitely, if you are serious about it, then you should do a co-op and talk to your co-op instructor. They can help you find somebody, and if you can find your own, if you've already got a connection, and that's the same with everybody that's listening today. If you have a family connection, if your parents have worked for somebody who worked for somebody who worked for any sort of connections, those are great with co-op. They really help. But definitely you would want to look at doing a co-op so you can get that real authentic experience working for a company, and hopefully that works out to something else later.
Great, thank you so much. Another question for you, Alicia, around dual credit and specifically the school within a college program. A parent has asked, since enrollment is limited for the SWAC programs, what are the criteria that are used if there's more applicants than there are spots in the program for a given semester?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's tough because when we do have more applicants than spots, the first thing that I kind of, I'll take a look at is how many credits the student has. So if there's a student who has like 6 to 7 credits, they tend to be on the bottom of the list. As opposed to a student that is 4 to 5 credits. The goal of school within a college is for students to graduate by the end of that semester. Sometimes it's the courses that students need, that if a student needs, let's say, compulsory credit of math and maybe history, because we're still a small program and we have one teacher that's attached to it, the courses that we offer for the high school teacher are dependent on the teaching subject. So our current SWAC teacher is English and social science. So students who are 4 to 5 credits short of graduation, we know that most students need their English in their grade 12, but sometimes we have students that they need math and they need senior science, let's say. Those students, unfortunately, would not be able to participate in the program because we wouldn't be able to, we don't have a teacher who would be able, who's qualified to teach that course. So for the most part, it's 4 to 5. It's the age of the student. Sometimes if there's a student who is really on track, only needs 4 credits to graduate, and a student who is behind, maybe they need 5 credits to graduate, we would grant that student the opportunity as well. And then finally, the last thing I do is a student who may have left school and is returning and not at a home school and in school still would take priority as well. So generally our most vulnerable students take priority over a student who has a clear plan. If I look at a student who's really looking at university, those students would not be prioritized over a student who knows specifically that they want to do the college route. So those are kind of a few key criteria that I look at when I'm making my final decision of who is accepted into the program.
Great, thank you so much. I'm going to send this one back to you, Samantha. We have some families asking if there's an OYAP program that is really of interest. So I think we're talking about a concentrated OYAP, but it's not available at the student's home high school. What options do they have? Are they able to leave their school to be able to access a different program?
For sure. And so I would say first go to that website that we had up earlier, the Pathways website, because you will want to look at the different programs that are out there. I'm not sure which program that you're looking at, but let's suppose that it might be electrical. That seems to be a very popular one. That would be a 1-year program, and so you would be committing to move over to Robinson for that school year. But each program is a little bit different, so you do want to take that into consideration as well. There are other options as well. We just didn't have enough time to get into everything, but there are options that we have now that are new to us, where in an OYAP program, there is a possibility where you could do a level 1 at college as well. And so talk to your guidance counselors, talk to your co-op. But if that's something you're interested in, really interested, whatever concentrated OYAP, first of all, do some research on the website, figure out what's involved. Talk to your guidance counselor so that you get a little bit more information. And then you will want to apply through my blueprint, which will then flag the teacher at the other school who's looking after the program. Once they're ready to do the interviewing process, they will reach out to you and they will ask you to submit an application.
Great. Thank you, Samantha. Tiffany, back to you. So we have a viewer who's asking about the co-op that's required for SHSM, and they're wondering, are students responsible for finding their own co-op placement, or is support given to them in doing that?
Well, support is given to students. It all depends on when the student does the co-op placement. So we do have options of doing co-op during the regular school day, night school co-op, and we also have summer school co-op. So you can do your co-op placement in the summer. Now, because it's not your traditional classroom where you start and you have like a few weeks with your teacher, like you would if you did it during day school. That's when we ask you to look for a placement ahead of time, just so that as soon as that summer school portion starts, you jump right into your co-op. Now, as much as we do ask you to find a placement, it doesn't mean that you can't go and talk to the co-op teacher at your school during your regular day school to ask for some support. It doesn't mean that you couldn't reach out to really any of us on this live stream to help you find a co-op placement. And also, like Samantha mentioned earlier, family, friends, your neighbors, sisters, hairdresser, whomever it is, anyone that you can find that will help you and take you as a co-op student, it works for us on our board.
Great, thank you. I'm going to give you a second question here, Tiffany. There's a few questions just clarifying that the requirements for a SHSM in any given sector, parents are just checking in to see, do those courses that they take also count toward the student's Ontario Secondary School Diploma, or are those separate course requirements that have to happen?
So when you take a SHSM program, what you're actually saying is that rather than getting the Ontario Secondary School Diploma, you want the SHSM Ontario Secondary School Diploma. So those courses that you're taking, they are your standard courses, and they will count towards your secondary school diploma. If, let's say, in grade 12, you realize that SHSM program isn't for you and you decide that you don't want to be part of that program any longer, those courses will still count towards your regular Ontario Secondary School Diploma. So it's either way, there's no losing. So whether you're taking the credits for SHSM diploma or your Ontario Secondary School Diploma, but they are standard courses, ministry courses that are offered in your school. One other thing that I forgot to mention is that the Specialist High Skills Major program is also a free program. So all of those things, the field trips, the workshops, the certifications, those all are provided at no cost. Also, transportation is included in a Specialist High Skills Major. So as long as you're within the geographical area, so if your home school is a Burlington school and you're going to another Burlington school for a Specialist High Skills Major program, we will provide transportation. So, but you have to stay within that geographical area. So Burlington throughout Burlington, Oakville throughout Oakville, and the north, so Georgetown, Acton, and Milton. That's one other geographical area that you can have transportation within.
Great. Thank you so much, Tiffany. And I think we're probably down to the last couple of questions. This is a great one that I think potentially whoever would like to jump in can do that. Student is interested in robotics, but isn't sure which of these 3 programs is the right fit for them. Feel free to jump in, maybe make a case for why your program is the one to consider if you think there's a fit.
Well, I'm going to start this question. We do have engineering, manufacturing, and robotics SHSM programs offered at some schools. Not every school has like a FIRST robotics team. So for example, in Burlington, there is one FIRST robotics team that's at Burlington Central, but then Burlington also has a community robotics team as well. So there are programs, so within your SHSM program, there is the opportunity to work with robotics, but there's also the opportunity in your community as well. The other area that I just wanted to mention briefly is that robotics can happen through a few different courses. So it can happen within manufacturing, it can happen within tech design, it can happen within computer science. So even if you can't find a Specialist High Skills Major program that's specific to robotics, a lot of our high school tech courses already include robotics within their regular curriculum. So please make sure that you're looking at those, because we have fantastic tech teachers in the Halton District School Board.
And I'll add to that. In terms of dual credit, we do offer robotics courses, and I would say that there is no other experience that you cannot get a college experience in a high school, right? So if you're prepared and want to try something new or different, or maybe just enhanced. So maybe at your school, you're part of the robotics club, or you're doing manufacturing and you're getting a taste of robotics. Then you can decide, you know what, I'm really interested. I'd like to delve a little bit more of what will that look like at a post-secondary level. So you can apply and try it there. Or perhaps you never took robotics in high school. You didn't have the opportunity to do that and you want to explore it. Maybe it's something that came later on. Then dual credit allows you the option to do that independently as well. So back to, you could do both. You can have exposure to it in your classroom, through SHSM, or you can just do it independently on your own.
Great. Thank you so much. We have a couple of questions coming in, and I will address it. Parents asking about, if you've got an elementary age student right now interested in learning more about these programs, where's the best place to go? Who will have information that they can share with you? I think it's great that you're listening tonight. And I know that in all of our elementary schools, we have elementary student success teachers who are really valued members of transition teams that help to support grade 8s and even younger as they explore high school options and think about where the right fit is for them. Those are a great starting place for information. But I just want our elementary caregivers to know that you absolutely can reach out to the secondary schools with your questions. I think sometimes there's a concern that until your student is actually registered there, perhaps you shouldn't do that. But I know as a secondary guidance counselor, I often had calls from elementary families, and we are happy to help explain programs, talk about interests, and make sure that you're feeling well equipped to make the right decision for you. We recognize that tonight we're talking about 3 programs, but there are many different options. And you've heard us also talk about the ability to do multiple programs at once, several of which we didn't even talk about tonight. So again, going to the high school to talk about what's possible, how schedules would work, how students can really explore all their interests is definitely my recommendation. So please never feel concerned about doing that. As I look at the time, I see that we are out of time, and I really want to thank everybody so much who tuned in tonight and viewed and took in all this great information about our programs. I'd like to thank Tiffany and Samantha and Alicia as well for sharing more about each of them. I really want to reiterate that students that are interested in these programs are encouraged to go to My Blueprint, if they are high school students, into the high school planner and to indicate their interest in one of these pathways programs. That will send a notification to the teacher that oversees the program so that they can follow up and give you more information. We're also coming up to a very exciting event next week, and that's a Future That Fits. Our grade 10 students across the Halton District School Board will have an opportunity to hear about all of these programs and connect with the teachers that lead them in their period 1 classes, different dates depending on region, but another great opportunity to hear more. And again, we hope that the resources we've shared have been valuable as you dig in to figure out what the right fit is. It is a journey. It takes some time, but we want you to know all your options so that you can make the most informed decision possible. So thanks again, everyone, for joining us. We hope you have a fantastic evening, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Good night.